I am so excited to share with you guys that we just got the appraisal back, and the appraisal came in $10,000 over our already aggressive asking price, which is actually getting my client $15,000 over our already aggressive asking price because of the offer that the buyers made. And I want to share with you how we accomplished and got to this point. So when we look at comps and we look at numbers before listing a property, number one, of course, I take into consideration that this market is hot, that there's low inventory, that buyers need a place to live, that they're tired of looking and they're going to be aggressive, okay? However, we have to remember in the back of our mind that there's this little thing called appraisal. And the appraiser comes in and provides an independent report on what he thinks the value of the property is. And that's what the bank cares about. They don't care about my value. They don't care about multiple offers. They care about what the appraiser thinks. So if you're selling a property and you have a buyer come and they have to get a loan for that property, then the appraiser is going to be involved, and we have to be prepared for these steps and these measures. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the background and how we got there and why it's so important to prepare for appraisal day. So number one, I shared with you, we already started with an aggressive asking price. $315,000. Now, I know that's an aggressive price point as well, and so we expected multiple offers. We received multiple offers, and it was so important to fine-tooth all of those offers to really know that we're getting the best offer. My client also had time, so he could ride this out and see where it came into play with the appraiser. And then we also wrote in verbiage to protect him against a low appraisal, that he could then either cancel the contract or make a decision. And that's the power of having representation on your side to make sure that you're protected from every angle of the transaction and trying to figure out value and where it matters most. Okay. So we had an aggressive asking price already. We know we don't have any inventory, so we're going to get multiple offers. Buyers and buyers agents are saying, well, we'll let the appraiser figure it out. They are planning on the appraiser coming in and valuing that property lower than what they offered and letting the appraiser kind of hash out the details. And so again, that's where you need to be protected and prepared as a seller to be able to show the value in this property. Now, I have a very stringent back-end process that I use to be able to present the information to an appraiser. It is similar to how I present the information to buyers when we list the property. So that's number one, is that we take measures on the back-end side to be able to present the information appropriately for the appraiser to see and to know. Appraisers get a copy of the contract. They know exactly where they're trying to bring that value in. And then they compare it to all of the market information that I have available, and they add weight to specific details as well. So it is very, very, very important that we have the right details from the beginning and a good starting place, because the appraiser is going to see that same information, and then we have to make sure that he gets our justification of why the property is worth that. So that's a big thing, is our back end process. Now, I always have a conversation with my sellers as well about the scenarios. If the appraisal comes in low, are you okay with that? And where is our bottom line? Where is it okay, so that we can write and structure the contract appropriately to be able to make changes if needed, and not be penalized. So having that conversation, protecting the seller in negotiation. And then the next thing is preparing for appraisal day. Now, number one on my list of preparing for appraisal day is having the home as clean as possible. And the reason I say as clean as possible is because you're going to start packing and preparing to move from the time we go under contract, because you have a deadline as well to get out of the property. And the appraisal happens usually somewhere in that midpoint between going under contract and moving out. You don't want to sit for 2 weeks waiting for the appraisal to happen and keeping your house perfect in order to wait for appraisal date, and then crunch time you have to pack and move and get out really fast. So having your house as clean as possible. Appraisers are trained to know that you might have boxes, out and around. But if you can have things be organized, clear off your counters, turn on all of your lights is a big, big thing. We're going to set this stage as if we're showing it to buyers for the first time again. Okay. Make sure it smells good. Have the heater be on if it's cold outside, or the air conditioning. Have it be a comfortable temperature inside so that when the appraiser comes, he can match his experience in the property with his experience online, because he's already researched that property before he comes, just like a buyer. He's read the comments, he's looked at the pictures, he has looked at other properties in the area as well. And now the last step is for him to come and inspect that property, to measure the property, and to make sure that it all lines up to what he's experienced online. So just like when we are trying to match up our buyers to your property, and when we present the information online, that we're trying to match that experience when they actually come to your home in person, we're trying to do the same thing with the appraiser. We want to have them have a good experience online and come and have a similar experience, so that that feeling and that experience matches up and he sees value and feels value in your property. Okay. So in this case, all of those things were followed. All of those things the details were paid attention to. The buyer really did a good job of making sure he had a good experience. The feeling was there. And in this case, it paid off big time. Okay, so like I shared with you, he is getting $10,000. The appraisal came in $10,000 over our already aggressive list price. Plus the buyer has agreed to pay $5,000 more than what the appraisal comes in at. And so he's really getting $15,000 over the list price. And that's awesome for him and for his next steps, and what he's trying to do next in life. But it's also awesome for the community, because now the community values have increased with this property being sold as well. Other people are going to be able to use that as comparisons, and hopefully they present the properties just as well to continue having the value added piece be there. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this finds you well. If you have questions about a property you're thinking of selling, if you want to dive into the process and start looking at what your options are, I am always happy to help. I am always happy to answer questions and to guide you through what the next steps are as well. So have a great day, everyone.